A lot of people don't realize how much external validation is ruining their lives until it's too late. Don't get me wrong. External validation is super fun. You get this rush of energy, it's super exciting, you feel your heart pumping, but over time, it does wear you out because you become increasingly disconnected from yourself because you're building your identity based on how other people are reacting to you. And you can't control how people react to you. This is the reason why there are so many people becoming more depressed, more anxious, because we're all chasing this sense of importance rather than trusting that our own validation is enough. Hi, my name is Jasmine, and on this channel, we talk all about becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you absolutely love. And if you've ever wondered why some people can just be apologetically themselves, they're confident, they're free, they have close relationships, and it just feels so easy for them to be themselves because they've learned how to validate themselves and trust themselves. And in this video, you're going to learn how to do exactly that. Here are all the video chapters, and you can find the video chapters in the description below. And if you are someone who is ready to do the real work, I'm not just talking about watching these videos, but actually transforming. I provide worksheets for every single one of my videos. In these worksheets, you'll find in-depth journaling prompts as well as practical exercises to help you start removing your limiting beliefs and to write out an action plan so you can start living out as your highest self today. You can access these worksheets down in the description below. Now let's dive right into the video. The very first chapter is the domestication of women. To really understand where external validation comes from, we first need to understand how we were domesticated as women to begin with versus what our true nature is. I remember going to the circus when I was a kid, and they would have tigers and bears doing tricks, jumping hoops, riding bikes, and they were listening to their trainers' every command. And in my head, I wondered, why doesn't the tiger just eat the trainer? Why does the bear just lash out at the trainer and run away? And it's because these animals were born in captivity. They don't know what the wild is like because they've never experienced the wild. But what is their true nature? Their true nature, as a tiger is meant to hunt. A tiger is meant to roam. A tiger is meant to run around. A tiger is meant to destroy when necessary. But because these animals were held in captivity and they were trained by their trainers, if they were acting out of line, they would get punished. If they were being good tigers and good bears, then they were rewarded. And over time, these animals become more and more domesticated because they're learning what they can do and what they can't do. They lose touch with their ability to trust their instincts. When you're molding a baby tiger and really priming them to be good, to be subservient, to be small, then over time, the tiger realizes and believes that living in a cage and being domesticated is normal. Now, as women, we need to see this the same exact way. We have been domesticated as women the same exact way, but we have been told that we need to fit into one female archetype. The soft girl, the girl who waits passively, the good girl who waits for permission. We have been domesticated to act the way that we are. And especially around external validation, because we've been trained that we need to wait our turn, that we need to wait for permission, that we lose touch with our own instinct to trust ourselves because we think that there's someone who's the boss of us. We think that there's someone who's in charge of us. And when we are forced to fit into this one female archetype, we do terrible things to ourselves. We put ourselves in dangerous situations in order to be validated. We put our bodies through terrible things like being bulimic and purging. We do terrible things to ourselves just so we can get the validation that we're doing something right. And as adults, now we feel like we have no idea who we are, what we're meant to do, who we're meant to be with, and we're kind of constantly searching for answers from other people because we feel that other people know better than us. But it's because we're still operating under the pattern that someone needs to tell us what to do, someone needs to tell us who we are, and those old programs may have worked when we were children, but it does not work now in our adult lives. These programs and narratives probably served you really well and kept you very safe as a child, but in the adult world, which is the real world, this no longer applies to you. So if you've set this intention that you want to be more bold, that you want to be more authentic, that you want to be more genuine, you want to be loud and proud, and you genuinely want to love yourself. Because what if I told you that you are the tiger in the circus right now, and you have the ability to set yourself free? What if being untamed is the answer to break free from external validation? And that means that you need to access what this untamed version of you looks like, feels like, acts like. You need to tap into your instincts instead of relying on how people expect you to behave. Very similar to the tiger. As soon as the tiger is able to tap into their instincts, tap into their nature, they're able to immediately tap into the ability to destroy, to roar, to be bold. So you have that same exact power, but when have you given yourself permission to access that? And maybe you have done that in the past and it felt good in the moment, but after that, you instantly felt this urge that you were being too cringe or being too much. When you speak boldly of your opinion at a meeting or wearing something bold and expressive at the office and then feeling cringe and uncomfortable after, that is the feeling of domestication. Every time you criticize yourself, every time you judge yourself, that is a form of domestication. So give yourself a moment to think about, what is my spirit animal, my most wild, untamed version of me? Am I a bear? Am I a tiger? And would these animals ever second guess themselves for the smallest things? And it's that they won't, and they never will, because being untamed means being free from your own intrinsic judgment, and also being free from other people's expectations of you. Because being a woman, you don't have to just be soft and quiet. You can be loud, destructive, raw, intimate, loving, dangerous. You can be an encapsulation of so many different things. You get to decide who that woman is to you. The second chapter is how to heal the visibility and shame wound. We don't judge a man as much as we judge women for wanting external validation. And to top it all off, I feel that a lot of women tend to police other women or judge other women for being too much of an attention seeker. A woman who dresses promiscuously wearing lingerie is called an attention seeker. Or a woman who is posting her achievements online, sharing candidly about how much she's made in the past year, she may be called a show-off or called arrogant. For some reason, the people who judge others for being their brightest, shining their brightest, they think they're above external validation in some way, and I just think it's so stupid. But the resistance to external validation is the very attachment to wanting it, to craving it, and it means that they are the very people who desire it as well. Just because you fight against it or shame other people for it does not make you immune to not wanting external validation. It actually shows that you care about it a lot. You are still trapped in this cage, and in the end, you are actually the one hurting yourself. The judgment is coming from a deeply insecure part of themselves, thinking that they're living a world where it's a zero-sum game, that success is limited, beauty is limited, attention is limited, love is limited. But that is such a limited mindset, because that's not true. Just because someone is shining, succeeding, does not take away that opportunity from you. The world is completely abundant. And why does it matter if they're getting the attention? Because that does not take that attention away from you. As women, I think we believe that we're all living under the assumption that there's only one seat at the table. But there is more than enough to go around, and there are more than enough seats for all of us. So the million-dollar question is, how do you heal from your visibility wound, and how do you finally feel safe being seen? And the answer is that you need to clean up your energy and how you feel about other women. Because if you felt threatened the last time you were on LinkedIn because you saw another girl posting about her promotion, or you felt threatened when you were talking in a group and suddenly this woman was getting all the attention, or you were threatened by another woman being more beautiful than you, because I can promise you that the problem isn't her. The problem is what you believe about yourself that makes you feel that you're living in a zero-sum game. You need to start addressing the judgment and the jealousy towards other women, and that is how you will be able to fully heal and give yourself permission to shine. And what a woman wants to do with her life, how she wants to be perceived, how she wants to show up, it really has nothing to do with you, and it's really not your business. If a woman wants to post a lingerie photo, you let her do it. If a woman wants to share about her achievements, let her. It does not apply to you, and it does not take away your power. The real question you should be asking yourself is, why does it bother you so much? The third chapter is how to ground yourself in your own inherent self-worth. There's a scene in Sex and the City where a group of girls come together talking about their insecurities. Carrie hates her nose, Miranda hates her chin, Charlotte hates her thighs, but when it came to Samantha said, "What? I happen to love the way that I look." And this really goes to show how much of an expectation women have to hate themselves, to be insecure about something, and to be proud of that insecurity in some way. But when it comes to a woman who is actually proud of her beauty, proud of her success, it's odd, it's weird, and it's uncommon. And sometimes other women feel threatened by that too, because they think that we're not allowed to be proud of who we are. We're not allowed to give ourselves permission to acknowledge our beauty, to acknowledge our charm, to acknowledge how amazing we are. So that brings me back to the question of, why do we expect other people to validate who we are? And why do we shame other women for giving themselves permission to validate themselves? And it's because this is part of our domestication process. Because if we don't wait on other people to give us that validation, then we are fully untamed. We're uncontrollable. And that gives women full power and ownership. Domestication means that this is their way to control women. Society is far more comfortable having a woman being completely insecure about herself than to have a woman like herself. Because insecurity is what keeps us in this craving and waiting for validation to act, to have permission to be, and we need to stop that. Now let's talk about self-worth, because your self-worth is the ceiling to your whole entire life, meaning that the greater your self-worth, the greater your quality of life. So the greater your friendships, the greater your career, the greater your finances. But when we are on a sliding scale with our self-worth, meaning that when we get that validation, when we get that reassurance, when we rely on other people to give us the worth and value that we're seeking, essentially we're not rooted anywhere. We're not grounded at a level that is true to us, but we're waiting on other people to give us permission to feel a certain way about ourselves. So that means that our life, the quality of life, is also shifting as our self-worth is shifting. If your confidence and self-worth is on a sliding scale, it's not truly your self-worth. You're relying on other people to give it to you. So often, we allow people to decide who we are and how valuable we are. If someone doesn't fall in love with you, if someone unfollows you, if someone doesn't like you back, if someone doesn't want to hang out with you, we immediately jump into the conclusion that there's something wrong with us. There may be a voice inside of you that's saying, am I not good enough in some way? Am I not pretty enough? Am I not smart enough? Am I not good enough for you? But to be untamed, one of the biggest shifts that you can make is realizing that rejection is not a reflection of your self-worth. Sometimes people are just incompatible with you. Sometimes they're emotionally unavailable. Sometimes they can't see your value because of where they're at in life. And it's that people cannot see beyond how they see themselves. Emotionally healthy people understand that not everyone's going to choose them, not everyone's going to validate them, and that's okay because they can stand so deeply rooted in their own self-worth no matter what happens. So next time, if you're in a moment where you feel like you're being rejected or someone is invalidating you, instead of immediately blaming yourself, instead of immediately hating yourself, criticizing yourself, you need to stop right there and say, what am I making this mean about myself? You are only creating these stories in your mind. These stories are not a true indication of who you are, no matter who's telling you. Then once you're able to identify the story, then you'll be free. That means that no matter what happens to you, whether you get rejected or not, when you're able to ask that question and return back to what narratives and stories you're making this about yourself, then you can finally be detached from it because you're realizing that it's not true, that your worth is inherent and it's given by God. No one can tell you if you're a 10 or a 6 or a 4. You are worthy and valuable because God said so. I like to use God, but you can use higher self, you can use the universe, but whatever it is, your worth is innate and cannot be taken away. No matter how people talk to you, no matter how people disrespect you, there's no such thing as a hierarchy. There's no such thing as someone being more or less important to you because we are all just as valuable. The last chapter is how to fill yourself with something deeper than temporary validation. External validation is very similar to a sugar rush because a sugar rush is like an itch you need to scratch. It's this craving that you have for something sweet. Every time you're hungry, every time you're sad, every time you need some sort of emotional support, you always reach out for that sugar. A sweet craving may initially seem very innocent because first it's the bubble tea, and then it's the donut, and then it's the cookie. In the short term, it does give you that immediate high rush. It's thrilling, it's fun, right? Eating sweets, it's always exciting, but after you eat it, and after a while, you start to crash. You feel even more hungry than before. You feel lethargic. But in the long term, when you keep reacting to this craving, and then you eat the cookie, and then you feel hungry, lethargic again, and then you do it all over again, it's this cycle. The long term, you will look haggard. you'll be tired constantly, and you're gonna gain so much weight, and you're gonna live through multiple health conditions because of your addiction to sugar. While sugar will give you that temporary relief, it won't actually help you with the root problem of hunger and energy, because ultimately when you first eat that donut, when you first eat that cookie, it's going to satiate it for a couple minutes or for 30 minutes, but in the end you're going to go back to feeling more cravings, and you're going to feel even more hungry and more tired. External validation is the same exact thing. It's thrilling, it's exciting, it's fun. When you're craving male validation, talking to 3, 4, 5 different guys at the same time is exciting and fun. When you want people to validate how beautiful you are, posting that Instagram photo of you in this beautiful, expensive outfit is thrilling because you're anticipating how many likes you get on that Instagram post. But that goalpost of what you think you need in order to feel fully satisfied is only going to move, right? Flirting with 3 to 4 guys may seem really thrilling now, but if you do it long enough, you're going to think that it's not enough. If you usually get 200 likes on an Instagram post and you get used to that, you're going to start to think that 200 likes isn't enough, and that the goalpost is constantly moving, because what it is that you need to fill is your deep sense of validation and how to validate yourself. The first step to validating yourself is to first be aware of when you're outsourcing that validation and when you're seeking that external validation from people outside of you. And you tend to notice this when your heart is pumping, when you feel like there is someone out there that can validate and give you that sense of importance. And then the second is, I like to return to some sort of meditation, some sort of prayer to ground myself and to remind myself of my true worth. This is a prayer that I really love to return to time and time again. Right now, I think I need another person's validation to feel important, but deep down, I know my worth cannot be granted or removed by another human being. Please remind me that I am still important even in the silence. I want to feel held by something deeper than temporary validation. I am already enough. I am already whole. I am already loved. I pray on it, I meditate on it, and I find some way to really get back into the energy of that my worth is something that I get to decide. And I ask God and the universe to help me shift, help me see this differently, help me see this differently. And this prayer will help you see the truth in who you are. So every time you feel that someone else's reaction of you puts your own worth at stake, return back to this prayer. We have now reached the end of this video. I would love to know in the comments down below what are some of your shifts from this video, because external validation is a touchy subject, but yet we're all trying to be free from it. Be your own lion, be your own tiger, be your own bear, whatever it is, you need to get back to the untamed version of you. If you want to dive deeper into how to rewire and break free from this, I highly recommend checking out my worksheets down below. And if you are on the journey of becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you love, check out my channel, because I make a ton of videos about self-worth, relationships, career, love, literally all things high value women energy. And if you love this video, I highly recommend you check out this video over here. This video is a continuation on how to build your self-worth. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!